Greetings and salutations. Thank you for lending an ear to The Voice of the Times. This is Tuesday, June 29, 2021. For today's editorial, Arming Anti-Crime Volunteers, a Dangerous Proposition. President Rodrigo Duterte's proposal to provide guns to civilian volunteers that will assist the police in fighting crime is not only impractical, it is dangerous. The president floated the idea last week during the launching of the global coalition of Lingkod Bayan advocacy support groups and force multipliers. The coalition toots a broad membership, from barangay or village watchmen and environmentalists to advocates of women's and LGBTQIA+ rights, and even religious groups. President Duterte said, with such an assemblage, you have a list of people who can arm themselves. I will order the police. If you're qualified, get a gun and help us enforce the laws. In simplistic terms, he explained that a volunteer crime enforcer must be armed in order that he or she can defend himself or herself when making an arrest. Without a gun, you might die, Duterte said. He even offered to lecture the volunteers on the laws on arrest, search, and seizure procedures. Unsurprisingly, the Commission on Human Rights expressed alarm at the president's proposal. Arming civilians without proper training, qualification, and clear lines of accountability may lead to lawlessness and proliferation of arms, which may further negatively impact the human rights situation in the country, the Commission's spokesman warned. We could not agree more. Issuing guns to hundreds of untrained civilians who have been deputized to perform key police functions opens wide the door to chaos and abuse in law enforcement. The onus of defending the nebulous concept of the armed civilian crime fighter falls on the Philippine National Police Chief, General Guillermo Eleazar, who apparently is clueless about Duterte's vision. Eleazar quickly assured that the volunteers would go through the tedious procedure of acquiring a license to own and possess firearms and a permit to carry firearms outside their residence or PTC-FOR. There's no reason for the civilians not to obey these rules in terms of carrying guns, he said. The president may have come up with the proposal out of his strong urge and desire to combat lawlessness in the society, Eleazar added. A former PNP chief, Senator Panfilo Lacson, believes the concept of arming civilian force multipliers could backfire, especially if they don't have the proper training and mindset. Lacson said there are valuable lessons to be learned from recent shooting incidents involving off-duty policemen. If our law enforcers who are supposed to be trained are prone to lapses, how much more in the case of untrained civilians? The senator asked. Lacson offered what seems to be a more sensible alternative to arming civilian anti-crime volunteers: stricter gun control. There are simply too many guns in civilian hands in the Philippines. Based on research by the University of Sydney, handguns alone number more than 325,000. Add to that 68,000 rifles and 78,000 shotguns. The estimated rate of private gun ownership, both licit and illicit, per 100 people is between 2.48 and 3.7. In a 2007 comparison of the number of privately owned guns in 178 countries, the Philippines ranked at number 20. In 2019, licensed gun owners in the Philippines numbered 296,906, down from 358,934 in 1999, when the government tightened the rules on firearm acquisition. Anyone applying for a PTC-FOR must attend gun safety seminars and pass practical and neuropsychiatric tests. Lacson said ideally, the only people authorized to carry firearms outside their residences are uniformed police and military personnel on official missions. Anybody, including PNP officers not in police uniform, must be assumed to have criminal intent and apprehended on the spot, he said. Other than saying they can make arrests, the president was also unclear on the authority to be vested on volunteer crime fighters. Under the Constitution, arrest powers are limited to the police, military, and duly mandated agencies such as the National Bureau of Investigation. Guns can also blur the line between volunteerism and vigilantism. There must be ironclad guarantees that civilian volunteers do not turn into police-sanctioned vigilantes. The folly of deploying armed civilian crime fighters must be put to rest and not allowed to take root. And that's the editorial for Tuesday, June 29, 2021. For more news and information, get a copy of the Manila Times on print, subscribe to our digital edition, or log on to www.manilatimes.net. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and listen to The Voice of the Times.